The Galactic Council Hall was quiet. Too quiet. Over 70 alien species sat around the Grand Dome, their skin tones glowing, blinking, or pulsing with quiet energy. This meeting was not about war, trade, or politics. Today was a rare celebration. A cultural exchange. Each species would show something special from their homeworld, something to prove their strength, survival, or pride. It was peaceful. Until Earth's turn came. A tall, lean man walked calmly into the center. He wore a black t-shirt, dusty cargo pants, and a silver badge pinned on his chest that read, Commander Blake Rains, Earth Ambassador. He didn't bow, didn't speak in the ancient greeting rituals. He simply smiled and pointed outside the dome. "Come on," he said. "You're gonna want to see this." Confused but curious, the council followed him outside to a nearby clearing. At the center stood a large green lake boiling slightly, steaming at the edges. The water glowed faintly under the twin suns of the council moon, Azulthorian scientists. Tendrils switched in alarm. "That's the Varak pool," it warned. "It's full of dissolved acids, heavy metals, and biocorrosive microbes. Nothing survives in there. We keep it fenced off." Commander Blake stepped forward. "Yeah, that's why it's perfect." Without another word, he pulled off his shirt and boots. Alien diplomats gasped at the sight of his many scars, burns, slashes, bite marks. Old, healed, human. "Stop," cried a voice. It was High Senator Krelvo of the Sirek. "That water is poison. You will melt," Blake grinned. "Back home, we just call it Tuesday." Then he dove straight in. The splash echoed across the silent hill. Dozens of alien eyes widened. Some stalked, some glowing, some blinking rapidly. They stared at the green, bubbling lake. Bubbles rose. A few burned birds flew overhead, avoiding the fumes. The acidic wind made some ambassadors. Back away. No movement. No sign of him. Seconds passed. 20, 30, 40-5. A Trinoxian elder whispered, "He's gone, disintegrated," and then whoosh. Commander Blake burst through the surface, flipping onto his back, arms stretched out. "Ah," he sighed, "like a spa day." Alien translators scrambled to confirm his words. Did he really say it was relaxing? "Yes," said a robotic voice, translating. He compared the acid bath to a calming ritual. The silence broke into shouting. "That lake has pH levels lower than battery fluid. The microbes alone should be eating his skin. Is his body mutated?" "No," a voice said quietly. It belonged to the council's head xenobiologist, Dr. Tanari of the Kuri. Her 6 golden eyes narrowed as she stared at Blake. "He is just human." Inside the council dome, chaos continued. A medical team scanned Blake as he dried off. Whistling softly, "No burns. No signs of tissue damage," said one medic. "No protective gear either," another added. "Just bare skin. Are you mad?" asked Ambassador Rex of the Vunari. His species was amphibious, but even they wouldn't go near acidic water. "Why would you risk your life like that?" Blake shrugged. "Risk? That was fun. Reminds me of the sulfur springs in Iceland. You should try it sometime." Several aliens flinched at the word sulfur. A high-ranking Iridian general leaned forward. "What else does Earth have that's like this?" Blake's eyes twinkled. "Oh, you mean the dangerous stuff?" He took a deep breath and began listing with a smile. "We swim with sharks. We dive near underwater volcanoes. We surf waves taller than buildings. Our beaches sometimes have jellyfish that paralyze you. Our rivers have parasites. Our lakes freeze solid in winter. And in summer, the sun tries to cook you." No one spoke. Even the warlike Kractalians, the council's most brutal warrior race, were quiet now. "Then why do you swim in these places?" asked a soft voice from the shadows. It was Council Speaker Nira, one of the oldest and wisest leaders. Blake's answer was calm. "Because we love it." Back in her lab, Dr. Tanari studied human biology with urgency. Thick skin, she muttered. Tear-resistant muscle fibers. Adaptive blood. And their bodies, they heal faster than expected. Beside her, a holoscreen played footage of Earth's swimmers, children jumping into icy rivers, lifeguards rescuing people during storms, and surfers laughing as lightning flashed behind them. She pressed pause. How can they smile in that? She whispered. The Kuri were a logical species. They respected balance and predictability. But humans? They were chaotic. And they thrived in it. She opened the folder titled Earth Environments. Volcanoes, tsunamis, hurricanes, acid lakes. Frozen oceans. Everything the council feared. Humans swam in. Later that night, an emergency meeting was called. Only 10 members of the High Council were allowed in. The ones with the power to decide policy. They sat in silence, reviewing the new footage from the Varek pool. Blake was on screen, floating lazily, his arms behind his head, whistling something. Cheerful. This cannot be normal, said General Drek of the Iron Tribes. He must be altered. Dr. Tanari shook her head. No, he is not. I studied his DNA. In fact, his scans match the average human. Then they're all insane, muttered another ambassador. Council Speaker Nira finally spoke. This is more than cultural difference, it's survival instinct. They do not avoid danger, they chase it, and survive it. What does this mean for the future? Asked the Iridian general. The room went quiet. Dr. Tanari slowly stood. It means Earth must never be underestimated again. Meanwhile, Blake sat at a nearby campfire with a few curious younger diplomats. They asked questions like children at story time. Have you ever swum in a volcano? No, Blake laughed. But I did cliff dive near one. The water was hot, but not deadly. Do you ever get scared? Asked a tiny, jellyfish-like being. Of course, Blake said. Fear keeps you sharp. But Earth teaches us something else too. What? He looked at them all and smiled. That you don't grow stronger by hiding from danger. You grow by facing it. And laughing anyway. That night news spread. The phrase, they swim in poison. And call it fun, echoed across every corner of the galactic net. It became a meme, a warning, a legend. Some aliens respected it, some feared it, but all of them remembered it. The next morning, Blake received an unexpected visitor. It was Council Speaker Nira. She stood in front of him, her cloak brushing the stone floor, her eyes unreadable. You have changed something, she said. Blake stood up, surprised. Changed what? She pointed to the lake behind him. You made us afraid of water. Blake tilted his head. Is that a bad thing? No, she said. It's a reminder that even in peace, some powers sleep under the surface. And you, human, are one of them. She turned and walked away. Blake sat back down, tossed a stone into the lake, and watched it hiss and vanish. He smiled, then whispered to himself, wait till they see our winter sports. After the dive, the Galactic Council could not sleep. That night, across dozens of star systems, alien scientists opened every file they had on humans. The question haunted them. How did he survive the Varek pool? Inside a floating science ship above Council Moon 9, Dr. Tanari stood alone in her lab. Her 4 hands moved quickly over glowing screens. Her eyes, golden and intelligent, scanned lines of DNA, blood reports, and tissue samples collected from Commander Blake. Human, not enhanced, not protected, not dead, she whispered. To the Kuri people. This didn't make sense. Poison should kill. Acid should melt. Fire should burn. But humans? They smiled while swimming in death. Dr. Tanari blinked twice, activated deep scan mode, and said to the AI beside her, show me Earth. Natural hazards only. No weapons. The screen shifted. Hurricanes bigger than council cities. Tornadoes, moving faster than their ships. Oceans swallowing towns. Lightning storms stretching across the planet. Volcanoes, erupting near homes. Earthquakes that tore land apart. And yet, the human population kept growing. The AI spoke. Probability of extinction due to environment. Low. Human adaptation rate. Extreme. She leaned closer. Extreme? What does that mean? The AI replied, humans don't just survive. These conditions, they build cities in them. Dr. Tanari's hands trembled. At the same time, in a deep-sea lab on the ocean world Palvara, 3 aquatic scientists watched a video of a human swimming through ice. They had no fur. No scales. No heat shielding. But they dived into frozen lakes and stayed underwater longer than expected. How are they warm? Asked Vrick, a blue-scaled researcher. They're not, replied his partner. They're cold, and fine with it. What if they're cold-blooded? The third researcher laughed. No, worse. They're warm-blooded and stubborn. The screen changed. Now it showed a man running into a fire to save another person. A woman hanging from a helicopter over a flood. A boy smiling while touching snow for the first time. The sea scientists said nothing more. They just slowly closed the report and activated a call to Council Security, requesting protection detail. They said, from who? The officer replied. The answer came in one word, humans. Across the galaxy, more scientists reached the same fear. Earth wasn't just dangerous. It had trained its children to love the danger. On the jungle planet Frictal, the insectoid race known as the Varu conducted a unique experiment. They wanted to test pain resistance. They invited a human soldier named Sergeant Eliza Quinn for the trial. She agreed casually, sipping from a metal thermos. What's in the drink? Asked one of the Varu. Black coffee, she said with a grin. Strong enough to wake the dead. The test began. The Varu placed small pain inducers on her arms, things that caused burning or stinging sensations. Eliza blinked. Then she yawned. Sorry, she said. You guys done? The Varu turned pale. Stage 2. Their leader shouted. The shocks increased. Still, Eliza smiled. You ever been stung by a jellyfish? She asked. Feels worse than this. Stage 3. Now, even the strongest Varu warriors would scream. Eliza only flinched. Okay, that was spicy. Then she added, I've had hotter winds at Earth. Bars. The Varu ended the test immediately. Back on Council Moon 9, a private message was sent to all leaders. Human pain tolerance equals dangerously high. Recommend warning signs and distance. Do not provoke. Meanwhile, in a spacebar orbiting Necra V, 2 alien mercenaries argued about the dive. You saw the footage, one shouted. He dove into acid and laughed. The other growled, maybe. It was fake. Maybe he wore some secret protection. A human sitting nearby turned slowly. He was bald, bearded, and wore sunglasses inside. No protection, he said. Just experience. The alien stared at him. He smiled. Back on Earth, danger's a part of life. You don't hide from it. You learn to survive it. You get used to it. You even learn to love it. The mercenaries left that bar in silence, suddenly less interested in picking a fight. Inside the council chamber, Speaker Nira called for another emergency session. Alien leaders arrived tired, worried, and confused. She stood at the center. We studied the humans. We watched their world, and now we know the truth. She raised her hand. The walls lit up with hundreds of Earth videos. Tornado chasers smiling under black skies. People diving into water during lightning storms. Children playing in snowstorms without fear. Lifeguards running into 20-foot waves to rescue strangers. Firefighters walking into burning buildings. And one video that stunned the room. A man covered in burns and frostbite, pulling his unconscious friend from an avalanche and then joking with the rescue team. The speaker said quietly, "This is the human species." Someone muttered, "They're monsters." "No," said Dr. Tanari, stepping forward. "They are survivors. Forged in chaos. They evolved on a planet that wants to kill them. And they learned to live with it." The room fell silent again. Then a young ambassador asked, "But what if they turn that survival against us?" Everyone looked at her. It was a question, no. One had wanted to say out loud. Speaker Nira answered, "Then we would lose." That night, messages were sent across the stars. Some alien races asked for protection. Others prepared escape plans. Some began researching how to copy human traits. But one message, private and urgent, was sent to Earth's ambassador, Blake Reed. While eating noodles from a cup. It said, "Commander Rains, after deep analysis, we believe the human body is the most adaptable biological system in the known galaxy. Some members of the Council wish to study further. Others fear you. Please advise us, what is Earth's greatest weakness?" Dr. Tenra Blake chuckled and wrote back, "Weakness? We fall, sure. But we get up. That's not weakness. That's why you should be careful. You haven't seen what we become when we stop playing and get serious." Blake, he sent it, finished his noodles, and leaned back. "Hope that clears things up," he muttered. Elsewhere, Dr. Tanari sat in her quiet lab. Staring at Blake's message, she whispered, "What happens when humans stop playing?" She shivered. And for the first time in her life, she locked the lab doors and ordered a guard outside, just in case. Far away, on the council world of Tazari Prime, children of all species gathered to play a cultural game, one species per team. Each child wore symbols of their homeworld. They had to cross a small obstacle course designed by council educators. It included mild heat, tiny water splashes, soft sand, and a single rain simulator. Every group moved carefully, except one, the human child. 10-year-old Mina ran full speed through it all, laughing, spinning, even sliding in the mud. The other kids stared. "You're not scared?" asked a fluffy red alien. Mina grinned. "Scared? This is like summer camp." She then challenged the other kids to a race and won. Later, one of the council guards wrote in his private log, "They train them from birth. They grow up in storms. We must never fight Earth. They're born for it." In the council library, the oldest living being, Archivist Auric, who had lived 900 years, closed a data scroll with trembling hands. "I feared the work's wars," he whispered to his apprentice. "I feared the black hole harvesters. I even feared time tears. But this?" the apprentice asked. "This," he said, "is the first time I feared a species that smiles while it burns." On the third day after the acid dive, panic had become policy. The Galactic Council now treated Earth not as a friendly world, but as a problem to be solved. Many alien leaders were not convinced. They thought the humans were lying, that Blake's dive was a trick. Some said it was a stunt. Some believed humans were only pretending to be strong. So the council made a decision. They would send a spy. The mission was given to Agent Fikelm of the Inari, a stealth specialist. His species had 8 legs, 2 thin arms, a soft blue exoskeleton, and eyes that rotated like a camera lens. He was known as the Ghost Among Stars. He had completed 74 perfect missions, without a single scratch. He laughed when he got the mission. "File, observation of Earth's recreational coastline? That's all?" he asked. Dr. Tanari warned him, "Do not underestimate them. Earth's beaches are not like ours." He didn't listen. He boarded a stealth pod and entered Earth's atmosphere at night. His drop zone, Bondi Beach, Australia, time 10:45 a.m., sun shining. Waves crashing, and humans, hundreds of them, were everywhere. Fikelm activated his translator, adjusted his skin to reflect light waves, and became nearly invisible. He moved to a rock near the edge of the sand and watched. He expected fear. He found laughter. Children ran barefoot across burning sand. Adults swam far into the deep waves without flotation gear. A group of teenagers splashed and wrestled while shouting joyfully. One fell under the water and came back up smiling. Fickeln whispered into his wrist recorder. Observation log. Humans are bathing in direct radiation. Star levels intense. They wear no armor, skin exposed. No shielding. And they appear happy? A loud whistle distracted him. He turned his eyes toward the source. A human lifeguard was sprinting into the water, fast. A child was floating face down in the waves. The guard dived in, pulled the child out, and began pressing on her chest. Water burst from her mouth. She coughed, cried, then hugged the rescuer. Humans around them clapped. Fickeln whispered, "They risk their lives for strangers." His voice shook. Then came the real test. He wanted closer data. So he stepped onto the sand. Immediately, his feet burned. High surface temperature, he hissed. The sand was like heated glass, but humans didn't seem to care. Some even buried each other in it, laughing. He stumbled forward. His feet sizzled. His thin shell cracked. He activated a cooling gel spray, but it only made things worse. Abort surface contact, he whispered, crawling to the shade of a drink stand. There, he studied what the humans were drinking. Bright-colored liquids with bubbles, frozen cups, tall glasses with ice. He ran chemical analysis. Excess sugar, acid levels high, caffeine, artificial flavors, unknown dyes. And yet they drank it like water. One of them, an old man, lifted his drink and said loudly to his friends, "Tastes like poison." "I love it." Fickeln's jaw fell open. They poisoned themselves. On purpose. 2 hours later, he tried to move closer to the water. The sand had cooled slightly, but then something pinched his leg. He looked down. A small creature, hard-shelled, clawed, snapping, was hanging onto his shin. It clicked. It hissed. He screamed. Life form detected. Crab. Minimal threat to humans. High threat to me. He kicked it off, but lost balance and fell face first into wet sand. His stealth mode flickered. A child saw him and screamed, "Crab monster!" Within seconds, adults turned their heads. Fickeln ran, but the beach had become a battlefield. Next came the birds. Fickeln's species had never dealt with flying meat thieves. He tried to climb a small lifeguard tower to escape, but a swarm of gulls surrounded him. They pecked his arms, tore his equipment bag. One stole his translator chip. He jumped down, hit the sand hard, rolled into a puddle of someone's spilled smoothie. His body system screamed in confusion. Sugar, acid, salt, heat, microbes, sunlight. Everything attacked him. "Abort, abort, Earth not safe," he gasped. He managed to crawl behind a sunscreen dispenser, re-engage his invisibility, and call his extraction beacon. The return pod took 12 minutes. To Fickeln, it felt like a lifetime. Back at Council Medical, Fickeln was placed in emergency stasis. His legs were blistered. His skin was peeling. His lungs were clogged with salt. He woke up 3 days later and mumbled one sentence before blacking out again. "They live where death sleeps." The report shocked the council, but the footage was worse. Fickeln had recorded everything. The smiles, the heat. The laughter and danger. The joy and chaos. One counselor whispered, "They love what we fear." Another asked, "Is this true for all of Earth?" Dr. Tanari nodded. "Yes, beaches are only one part. There are mountains, storms, frozen lands, burning deserts, wild animals." Speaker Nira closed her eyes. "And humans thrive there?" Tanari replied, "They don't just survive, they compete." Across the galaxy, reactions were mixed. The peaceful races began pulling ambassadors from Earth. The warrior races grew nervous but curious, and the scientific races started a new project, Human Terrain Testing Unit. Their goal, Create a simulation of Earth's environment and see which alien species could last longer than a human. So far, none had passed even 1 full hour. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Blake Rains was at another event, this time in the Arctic. Circle, he was shirtless again. Standing on ice. Aliens watched him from a safe distance behind heated windows. He smiled at them, then ran full speed and jumped into a frozen lake. A second later, he burst back out, shaking and laughing. Cold one. Today, he said. Behind the glass, a lizard-like ambassador whispered, "They are not built. They are born." At the same time, Agent Fekeln was released from medical care. He walked slowly with a cane. His body was scarred. His confidence shattered. He entered the council chamber and faced the members. "Do you wish to revise your report?" asked Speaker. Nira Fekeln nodded. "Yes." He pressed a button. A new message appeared on the wall. Recommend classifying Earth as Level 10. Hazard Zone. Entry by council members should be limited. Species with soft bodies should stay away. And above all, never engage humans near water. That day, a vote was held. Earth was officially labeled Extreme Environment Civilization. For the first time in council history, a planet was feared not for its weapons, but for its playtime. It started with silence. The council research base D.7 sat at the bottom of a gas-covered ocean on planet Drakor, one of the most hostile environments known in the galaxy. Pressure strong enough to crush most ships. Darkness so thick, even light gave up. Waters filled with toxic currents and bioluminescent predators. The base was run by machines, guarded by drones, and visited only by elite researchers. 3 days ago, it stopped sending signals. Inside the Galactic Security Command, alarms flashed red. Double quotes, "No contact from D.7, a technician said. No emergency beacons. No distress calls. Possible attack? Unknown. Last report showed a stable atmosphere." Speaker Nira called an emergency session. Dr. Tanari stood and said what many feared to speak. "The base is 900 meters below a pressurized, acidic sea. If it failed, everyone inside is already dead." Some demanded a rescue team. Others hesitated. "It's suicide," one general said. "Even drones struggle down there." "We can't just abandon the data," shouted a biologist. "Years of research gone?" Silence followed. Until someone said, "Send a human." Her name was Captain Maria Cole. Ex Special Forces. Deep sea diver, Earthborn, human. When she received the request, she didn't ask many questions. D.7? She said while checking her oxygen tanks. "Never heard of it. How far down?" "Almost 1 kilometer, the officer replied. "Toxic water, acidic layers, shifting currents." Maria raised an eyebrow. "Sounds like the Pacific during storm season." Aliens around her flinched. Her dive ship landed on Dracora's floating dock. From there, she descended alone in a reinforced pod. No backup. No crew. Just her suit, a knife, and a voice recorder. Her mission: find survivors, recover data, return alive. The descent took 12 minutes. As she dropped, the light faded until only her helmet torch remained. It barely lit the green-black void outside. Giant shadows moved past her. One brushed the pod. A spike scraped the glass. Maria kept her breathing steady, just like the Mariana Trench. She whispered. At 900 meters, her pod hit the seabed. Council's drone scanner showed nothing around her, except ruins. D.7 was broken. The entrance tunnel was twisted. One section had exploded from inside. Metal beams bent like spaghetti. The power grid flickered. No signs of life. Maria exited the pod and walked across the seabed. Each step left a print in the silt. Toxic fish circled her. One tried to bite her boot. She kicked it away without slowing down. She found the emergency hatch. Locked. Manual override. Half buried in sludge. She used her knife to clear it, forced it open, and climbed inside. The hallway inside was half-flooded. Lights flickered. Blood floated on the water. Still warm, she muttered. They didn't die long ago. She activated her wrist cam. Entering main deck, no bodies, pressure stable, air contaminated. Holding breath, she moved forward, silent. The command room door was sealed. Her fingers found the emergency panel. She rewired it. In 30 seconds, the door opened with a hiss, and she found them. 3 alien scientists sat inside alive, but weak. Eyes wide, skin pale, breathing slow. They stared at her in silence. Then one of them whispered, "You're human?" She nodded. "You walked here?" Asked another. She looked around. "Seems like it." They just stared. She waved a hand. "Can you move?" They shook their heads. She pulled out a heat blanket and water pack from her belt. "Stay still," she said. "I'll get help." Back at Council HQ, they waited nervously. Suddenly, a signal came online. Video feed. Maria Cole. Soaked, helmet cracked, one boot missing, but smiling. "Mission complete," she said. "They're alive. Sending coordinates now." The room erupted. "Wait," one ambassador said. "How did she survive the descent? The pressure?" Another replied, "She walked." "Walked?" "Yes, all the way to the base." Speaker Nira leaned forward. "How is this possible?" Dr. Tanari whispered, "She's human." Rescue teams arrived 2 hours later. They found Maria sitting on a rock beside the base, feeding protein gel to the survivors. Her hands were shaking. Her suit had holes. She had bruises on her ribs, and still, she smiled. Inside the medship, the survivors spoke. She cut open a sealed door. Alone, in freezing acid water, she fixed a leaking pipe with her bare hands. She walked past a predator the size of a tank. And when the pressure cracked her helmet, she just held her breath. The council called it impossible. Then they watched the footage. In one scene, Maria used her knife to break open a blocked corridor. Her hand bled from acid burns. She wrapped it in her sleeve and kept moving. Another clip showed her pushing a metal beam off. A trapped researcher. The strain made her scream, but she did not stop. One final clip stunned the council. Maria, removing her damaged helmet, holding her breath, climbing through a pressure chamber, and laughing as she resealed the door. She gasped after, "Damn, that was spicy." The room watching it went silent. Speaker Nira closed her eyes. "She faced what we fear," she said. Dr. Tanari added, and smiled through it. One ambassador stood. "We must never underestimate human will again." Another nodded. "They swim in poison. They dive into death. And they come back stronger." Later, Maria was asked by a young alien reporter, "Weren't you scared?" She replied, "Of course. But fear's just the body reminding you you're alive. Doesn't mean you stop." The reporter asked, "How do you survive things that should kill you?" Maria smiled. "Earth teaches us early. The world tries to break us, so we learn to bend. Then we teach ourselves how to break it back." Her story spread fast. Soon, every newsfeed across the council ran the same headline: "Human walks into hell and comes out laughing." It became legend. Cadets studied her mission. Commanders rewrote their rescue protocols. And across alien worlds, children whispered her name when storms came. Back in her ship, Maria finally took a break. She poured hot coffee into a cracked mug. She stared at the stars, then said quietly, "This galaxy's soft. I hope they never see what humans do when we get angry." She drank her coffee and closed her eyes. Far below, D.7's lights flickered on again, and the council finally realized humans didn't fear the deep. They were born from it. The Galactic Council had watched many things about humans. They saw how humans swam in poison and how they could survive deep oceans and burning lakes. But no one truly understood how humans became so strong. To find out, a bold decision was made. Group of elite alien warriors would train like humans. They wanted to see if they could become as tough. The training camp was built on a remote moon called Zara 5. It had rough terrain, rocky hills, cold lakes, and hot deserts. The council used their best trainers and technology to simulate Earth's toughest environments. The goal was simple: train like humans train, swim like humans swim, run like humans run. Endure what humans endure. The team was mixed. Some came from icy planets, others from deserts. Some had thick armor, others soft skin. But all were eager to learn. Among them was General Threx, a fierce Kractalian warrior. His 4 arms held heavy blades, and his muscles rippled like steel cables. "Humans are strong," he growled. "We will see if their strength is real." Day 1 started with swimming. The warriors were led to a large lake filled with cold, salty water. It wasn't poisonous, but it was icy cold. The humans called this training ice bath. The first warrior jumped in. He gasped immediately. His skin turned blue. He struggled to swim. Half the group turned back. Only a few pushed forward. The leader of the trainers, a human named Jake, watched carefully. "Relax your muscles. Control your breathing," Jake said calmly. But the aliens panicked. Their bodies shook violently. Several were rushed to the med bay for hypothermia. Day 2 was no easier. They ran long distances in rocky deserts. The sun was harsh. The heat crushed. The warriors sweated heavily. Their skin cracked and burned. One young alien, Laurie, collapsed from heat stroke. She gasped for air. The medic said, "Her body cannot handle Earth-like heat." Jake shook his head. "Humans train their bodies to handle this. They start young." The next day, they tried swimming in rough, stormy seas. The water was cold and dark. Waves crashed hard. Lightning flashed above. Many warriors panicked, drowning in simulated storms. Some screamed. Others begged to stop. At night, around the campfire, General Threx sat with Jake. "I do not understand," Threx said. "My people are warriors. We fight wars for centuries. We endure pain. Yet these humans, they laugh at death." Jake smiled. "It's not just the body, General. It's the mind." "What do you mean?" Threx asked. Jake looked at the stars. "Humans do not train just to survive. They train to win, to fight through pain, to laugh when scared, to rise every time they fall." The next day, they faced Firewalk. A thin layer of glowing coals covered the ground. The warriors were told to run barefoot. One by one, they stepped forward. Many screamed. Their feet burned badly. Laurie screamed, then fell. Jake rushed to her. "This is only a step," he said softly. "Humans do this for fun." Threx shook his head. "Only fools would walk on fire." The council medical teams grew alarmed. Half the warriors were hospitalized. Their bodies were breaking down. Some had second-degree burns. Others had broken bones from falls. But no one quit. On day 5, the warriors tried endurance swims. They wore minimal gear and swam in pools with cold water mixed with mild acid. Many coughed, gasped, and panicked. Laurie swam quietly. Her skin was raw and red, but she pushed herself. When she surfaced, she smiled weakly. "I understand," she said. "Humans do not quit." By the end of the week, many warriors were too weak to continue. Some cried from pain. Some begged for mercy. But General Threx stood tall. "We have lost much," he said, "but we have learned one truth." "What truth?" Jake asked. Threx smiled. A fierce and proud smile. "Humans do not fear pain. They welcome it. They make it part of their life." That night, a report was sent to the Galactic Council. It read, "Human training is not just physical, it is mental. Their strength comes from willpower, joy in challenge, and refusal to surrender. Our warriors were not prepared for this. We recommend extreme caution in future engagements with humans." The news spread fast. Alien soldiers whispered, "Humans are monsters. They fight with fire inside. They are not like us." Back at the camp, Jake sat with the injured warriors. "Do you want to quit?" he asked gently. They shook their heads. "Then remember this," Jake said. "Humans say, pain is weakness leaving the body. It means pain makes you stronger." The warriors looked at each other for the first time. They understood. In the next training session, they tried to laugh through the pain. It was hard, but slowly they learned. And far away, in the council chambers, Speaker Nira said quietly, "We have faced many enemies, but none like this." Dr. Tanari nodded. "They swim in poison, fight through pain, and call it fun." The Galactic Council was nervous. After watching humans swim in poison and laugh in the face of pain, they decided to test something else. Weapons. They wanted to see how humans would react to their most advanced arms and war machines. The Council sent a shipment of alien weapons to Earth: heavy plasma rifles, energy shields, explosive grenades, and even small autonomous drones. They were gifts. A test. At the Council, some believed humans would be overwhelmed. Others thought they would copy the technology and improve it. On Earth, the shipment arrived in a remote training facility deep in the Rocky Mountains. The human military was surprised, but curious. Captain Sarah Jensen stood before the weapons. Her unit was tired but ready. She smiled. "Let's see what they think of us." The soldiers quickly learned to use the alien weapons. Some laughed at the strange designs. Others were amazed by the power. Within days, the humans created new training games with the weapons. One was called Alien Hunt. In the game, small groups used the plasma rifles and grenades to find hidden targets in the forest. It was fast, dangerous, and thrilling. Captain Sarah watched as her team sprinted through the trees. Bullets flew, grenades exploded, soldiers ducked and rolled. They cheered every time they tagged a target. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council watched through live feeds. They expected chaos. Instead, they saw joy. One counselor whispered, "They treat war like a game." Another replied, "That makes them more dangerous." The humans weren't just using the weapons, they were playing with them. They laughed as they dodged plasma bolts. They shouted challenges. They made teams. They invented rules. Council sent observers to Earth to study the games. They reported back, humans combine danger with joy. They do not fear weapons. They learn fast. They improve fast. They turn conflict into sport. At the same time, scientists on Earth studied the alien technology. They found ways to improve the plasma rifles. They made shields lighter and stronger. They programmed drones to respond faster. Captain Sarah led her team on simulated missions, used the new weapons to train harder than ever. One day, during a simulation, an explosion sent a soldier flying. Instead of panicking, he got up laughing. "Is that all you got?" he yelled. His teammates cheered. The council began to fear that humans were not only strong but fearless. They wondered if humans were born for war or something else. Back in the council chamber, Speaker Nira spoke. "We have sent them our best weapons. They have turned them into playthings. This is not weakness. This is evolution." She paused. "Humans fight like they live, with joy, with risk, and with laughter." In secret labs, alien engineers tried to copy human reactions, but their test subjects failed. They couldn't keep calm under fire. They couldn't laugh at danger. Meanwhile, on Earth, Captain Sarah's unit prepared for real combat. They trained harder. They played harder. They laughed harder. At night, Sarah looked at the stars and whispered, "We don't just survive. We enjoy the fight." The Council realized Earth was changing the rules. The Galactic Council was silent for weeks. They had watched the humans. They had seen them swim in acid lakes. Play with dangerous weapons, turn fear into laughter, pain into pride. And now, there was only one test left, a final experiment, one that, in theory, no species could survive, not without breaking. Not without surrendering. Counselor Varun stood slowly in the chamber. His voice echoed across the marble walls. We have tested their bodies. We have tested their minds. Now we test their soul. The chamber darkened. On the screen behind him appeared a long-forgotten zone. A planet. Deserted. Hostile. Deadly. The planet was named or YX-9. It was once home to a warlike race called the Krixar. That race had vanished thousands of years ago, destroyed by their own weapons. The planet was cursed. No team, no scout, no species have lasted longer than 10 minutes on its surface. The council would drop a single human. Their no weapons. No support. Only their mind and body. If the human survived 24 hours, the council would consider Earth an official Class X species or race equal to the deadliest empires in history. If they failed, the human race would be watched. But feared no more. Earth agreed, but not with fear, with curiosity, and with one strange request. Let him choose his outfit. They said. The council laughed. But agreed. The chosen human was not a soldier. Not a scientist. Not a general. His name was Theo Marks. He was a former mountain guide. Now he taught kids how to survive in wild forests. He had no medals. No famous record. But he had something else. Calm eyes, a quiet smile. And a strange kind of strength. When asked why he volunteered, Theo simply said, I want to see what they think is impossible. The dropship landed on YX-9. Theo stepped out, wearing a simple hoodie, hiking boots, and a backpack. No armor. No guns. No fear. The wind howled. The ground cracked under his feet. Toxic clouds moved like beasts in the sky. In the galactic chamber, thousands of eyes watched him. Aliens of every shape and size leaned forward. Betting pools opened. Some gave him 5 minutes, others 3. Theo knelt down, touched the sand and smiled. Feels like Arizona in July, he muttered. And then he walked. For the first hour, he did nothing but observe. He took small steps, avoided sharp rocks, breathed slowly through a mask he built himself. When a storm rolled in, he found a hole in the ground and waited. Lightning cracked across the sky. Fire rained down. Theo hummed a song while sketching in a notebook. Storms got personality, he whispered. The council was confused. He wasn't rushing. He wasn't hiding. He wasn't fighting. He was exploring. Hour 6. Creature appeared large, black, covered in acid armor. It hissed and charged. Theo didn't run. He stood still. The creature stopped. Tilted its head, smelled him, then backed away and disappeared into the sand. He didn't attack it. Someone said. He let it decide. Hour 12. Theo found an old ruin. Inside were Krixar, bones twisted and melted. He sat beside them and read old carvings. He whispered, You all went too far. You stopped listening. Hour 17. He built a fire using dry fungus and heat rocks. He cooked a plant he found, a few bites. Then he laughed and spit it out. Okay, not edible. Back in the chamber, Speaker Nira turned to the others. Look at him. He isn't surviving. He's learning. He's connecting. He doesn't fight the planet, he talks to it. At hour 20, the planet sent its last test. A psychic storm. It cracked the minds of other species. It brought madness. Theo sat cross-legged and closed his eyes. The wind screamed. The ground trembled. Nightmares formed in the air around him. Shadows. Memories, regrets, he whispered. I've been through worse. He didn't fight the storm. He breathed with it. He let the fear pass through. He opened his eyes and said, You don't control me. Hour 20-4. Theo stood at the highest rock. The sky cleared. The planet quieted. He looked up. The stars were bright. He smiled and waved. Back in the council chamber, no one spoke, not a whisper, not a breath. Then a voice broke the silence. A young alien translator. She said, He won. Not just survive, not just endured. Theo had understood the planet. Where others saw death, he saw lessons. Where others ran, he paused. Where others fought, he listened. 2 days later, the Council sent a message to Earth. You are not just survivors. You are explorers of danger, teachers of chaos, and friends to fear. Theo returned to Earth quietly. No parades. No medals. He went back to the forest. Back to the kids, back to the trees and quiet paths. When a reporter asked him what he thought of Oryx 9, he said, "It was lonely, but it taught me something." The worst places still have stories. You just have to listen. The Galactic Council added a new line to the official database of species. Humans, they swim in poison. They laugh in fire. They walk into nightmares with calm eyes. Never underestimate a species that makes fear their friend.